this is a championship game review. So I got a lot of Ram fans pissed at me, Eric.
Yeah, I know. I kind of saw that.
Yeah, like, I'm losing credibility by the minute. Huh?
I said I kind of read it too.
Yeah, I'm losing credibility by the minute is what one fan said. Look, here's the thing. I hate the...
Wait, hold on, wait. But you're saying to me that somebody who's been pretty much spot on about the Rams for 3 straight years is losing credibility within the Ram League? Color me shocked.
Yeah, no kidding, right? My position is pretty cut and dry. I hate the 49ers. I would rather P. Lightning than root for the 49ers. But I'm gonna have to prefer to P. Lightning tomorrow or this next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Because here's the thing. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. I'm a big traditionalist. And I believe that the 49ers are not just representing the NFC West, or the NFC, I should say, but they're representing the NFC West. And I'm sorry, I'm a Ram fan. I went with them to St. Louis, and I had to endure all of that Kansas City trash talk. I don't hate the Chiefs. I hate the 49ers. So why am I rooting for San Francisco? It's really simple. I've always been, and always will be, an NFC guy first. The only AFC team that I will root for in a Super Bowl is anybody that plays Dallas. Not even. That's not true. I take that back. The Cleveland Browns, I'll root for them because that's my second favorite, or my favorite AFC team. And unless they're playing the Redskins or the Rams, I'm rooting for Cleveland. And the only other option, in my opinion, would be anybody that plays Seattle. Because in my opinion, the Seahawks are not an NFC football team. I grew up with the Seahawks being AFC West my whole life until 2001. So for half of my life, Seattle was an AFC team. And I've never welcomed them into the NFC West. I never will welcome them into the NFC West. So it'll be, in that case, I'll take the better matchup. But the Niners have always been NFC. They're in our division. Yes, I hate them, absolutely. But they represent more than just the NFC for me. They represent what I think has been the best conference in football. And what a better way to say, hey, we lost 2 close games. Well, 1 close game, but 2 games that knocked us out of the playoffs against the team that won the Super Bowl. I can hang my hat on that. I can't hang my hat losing to a team that didn't even get to didn't win the Super Bowl. Because it's still going to be a down year no matter how you look at it, but I guess it's how you stomach it. And the Niners essentially eliminated us from the playoffs. So the NFC champion from a year ago was eliminated by the eventual Super Bowl champion or NFC champion this year. It's not a bad exchange. I like Mahomes, but now I'm going to show something here. Jimmy Garoppolo is an Italiano. So I not only got the NFC West being represented, not only have the NFC being represented, but we got one of my people playing quarterback down there. So, yeah, it's stupid. It's all personal. And I totally understand the Ramley being upset with me. But I got to go San Fran as far as my rooting interest in this game. I'll end with this. If the 49ers get blown out, I won't be sad. I won't be mad. I'll just be smiling. So I'm going to win. Anyway, Eric, any comments before we get into the breakdown of the conference championship games?
Yeah, just one small comment. If it were Green Bay instead of San Francisco, I would never be rooting for Green Bay.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't. But that's because the Bears fans and the Packer rivalry, it's pretty deep. I mean, the Ram rivalry is pretty deep with the 49ers. Don't get me wrong. I would argue it's probably the top 5 rivals in NFL history. But I don't know. I mean, you know how much I like the Bengals, right?
Yeah, so much so that, never mind.
Yeah, shut up. We don't speak of that ill foregone thought that has happened in my household. But I rooted for San Francisco in Super Bowl 23. Like, I was actively rooting for Joe Montana on that last drive. The whole game, I'm rooting for Cincinnati. And then the game's on the line, I'm like, let's go. and I couldn't believe my reaction when the Niners scored that touchdown. I'm like, why am I so happy? Because the whole time, oh, shoot.
You were watching greatness.
Well, that's the truth. That is the truth. And you were watching NFL history live on television. All right, let's break down the conference championship games. I want to start in the AFC. We pretty much called this one, Eric. You were off by what, 1 point both ways? You said 34-23?
Yep.
And it was 35-24, so you get the first shot at this, Salvo, because I'm going to say it, you basically called this game right down the line.
Yeah, I was expecting Derrick Henry to have a little bit better of a game, but he had a great first half. I mean, he had like over 70 yards rushing and a touchdown. And then the Chiefs are like, you know what, we're just going to clamp down. Tennessee stopped moving the ball. They stopped going away from their playmakers who were moving the chains along all season long. And one interesting stat is, you know, the Tennessee Titans never let up a touchdown in the last 2 minutes of a half or a game the whole season until they faced the Kansas City Chiefs. Ryan Tannehill, yeah, he finally threw over 100 yards, but I thought it was more, you know, empty yardage. He had a nice touchdown pass to Ferguson to get attached. He's hit 23. But there were just a lot of empty yards for the Titans, and then I watched their defense, and yeah, they were getting tired, they were gassed. Then they tried to rip the ball out of Mahomes' arm right before halftime with 11 seconds left, and their defender stopped them, kind of. They tried ripping the ball out, which allowed Mahomes to keep the ball and then dive into the end zone, or move over into the end zone and whatnot. It's like, dude, you're a defensive player. Hit the crap out of the quarterback. He's a runner. Like, you're not going to get fined. You're not going to get a 15-yard penalty, and you're already inside the 5-yard line. So just take a big wallop and you know, make him feel it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna go for the ball. I'm not gonna peanut punch it. Okay, fine, whatever. But you know, then the Chiefs took the ball to start the second half, and you know, that's when Derrick Henry had -1 yards total in the second half. He had 7 yards rushing and -8 yards receiving.
Wow.
You know, I thought A.J. Brown was going to have a lot better game. He came on in the first quarter, had a 30-yard game, and then only had 2 catches after that. Corey Davis was the man for Tennessee in the receiving game. And even Adam Humphries, I was surprised to see him on the field. He missed so many games to end the year in the first 2 playoff games. And he was out there, and he was stretching the field at the first down marker and moving the chains. And it was great to see him out there, but wasn't sure how much more he had left in him. And you know, Tennessee, I tip your hat to you because you went to New England, you beat them. You went to Baltimore, you beat them. You actually got out to a 10-0 lead against Kansas City. But Kansas City, man, they're relentless. They can score sometimes at will. They can score quickly. They wear down a defense. The one thing I did not like out of Kansas City was they did not get a run game going. And yes, Tennessee has a pretty good run defense, but they had the only run game that the Chiefs had was actually Mahomes. So I mean, that is not a recipe for success moving forward. And you know what? You're going to face a good defense next time, so you might not get that luxury of falling behind by 10 or 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, as far as Tennessee, like I said, tip my hat. Vrabel is a great coach. You know, Kansas City did what they had to do, and rightfully so, man. They were partying and they were happy. You know, 50 years between Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah.
They finally held up the trophy that's got their owner's name on it. And the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. So, you know, congrats. The Tennessee just ran out of gas at the end. You know, I think that if they you know, get Henry signed long term and decide on their quarterback. And I'd say, you know what, Derek, let's add another element to your game. I want you to catch 100 passes a day, high, low, left, right at you, whatnot. We're gonna make you multidimensional. And that Tennessee defense coming back, representing the AFC South again. But you know what? It's Kansas City's turn, and rightfully so. They had a great season. They're going to continue their season. But, they are relentless. I figured Travis Kelce wasn't going to have the greatest game. But, man, I'm seeing Sammy Watkins have a good game, get open because the defender falls down. But, you still got to make the catch and get away from the defender. Damian Williams have a good game out of the backfield, catching the ball. Tyreek Hill. They have so many weapons that sometimes it's really hard to figure out who's going to get covered and who's going to have that big game.
Look, for one, this is the first time in my lifetime that I'm going to see Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I have Super Bowl one. Let me say that again so anybody out there watching from the NFL, your lie, I know is a lie. There's no official copy of Super Bowl one out there. Really? Because it's in my library. I can watch it tomorrow. I have Super Bowl one. The entire game, live broadcast. Thank you very much. It's got a little bit of radio audio tied into it and some missing spots, but the entire game is fluid. So let that sink in, NFL. Someone has a copy out there, and it's on DVD. Now, I also have Super Bowl 4, although it's not a color copy. It's black and white. I have the two Chiefs Super Bowls, and it's kind of neat to see what is once history live in front of me now. To see Kansas City in the Super Bowl is really good, and it's a lot of fun, and it's made this Super Bowl, in my opinion, watchable. Not because of Patrick Mahomes, he's a great athlete, but because of the history. And this is something else I want the NFL to understand. The fans that watch your sport, we are not NBA fans. We are not basketball fans. We are not baseball fans. Maybe we're more like baseball than we are basketball. We are all about tradition. We like the older uniforms. We like we know who the traditional organizations are within the NFL. And when they're in the Super Bowl, it feels right. Kansas City's only been to two, but they were in two of the first four Super Bowls. So for the first 5 years or 4 years of the Super Bowl, they were in half of them. And Green Bay was in the other half. Not to mention the history that Kansas City had as the Dallas Texans for some of you old timers. So it feels right that Kansas City's in the Super Bowl. I knew they were going to win this game because Tennessee had one glaring problem. They're not strong against a scrambling quarterback on the back end. On the back end. I know they were against Baltimore. But Lamar Jackson is a predictable threat back there. 60-70% of the time, he's going to tuck it and run. Patrick Mahomes is like Russell Wilson. He'll threaten the line of scrimmage and then pop it to a wide open wide receiver 30 yards downfield. Sometimes he doesn't even need to see the receiver. He can just throw over here to a wide open wide receiver without even looking at him. It's almost unfair. I'm going to say this, and I don't care if I get criticism for this. There is Lamar Jackson and there is Patrick Mahomes. And I've got a pretty large gap, Eric. I know you can't see it, but it's a large gap between the two. I've seen it enough. I've seen enough of Lamar this year. I've seen enough of Patrick Mahomes over the last few years to know I'm right. And Tennessee just wasn't ready for this animal. They just weren't. Arrowhead Stadium is a completely different animal than Baltimore. Mahomes is a completely different animal than Lamar Jackson. And Kansas City, like you talked about, Eric, it'll put the points on you quick. And if you're not ready, you can get blown out of that building. This is honestly the best Super Bowl matchup we could have gotten. If you were to tell me when the playoffs started, what is the ideal matchup for the best potential Super Bowl, I'd have picked this one. And I'll get to that later next week when we do our evaluation, our breakdown of Super Bowl 54. Kansas City also struggles with a pass rush. Tennessee. Those are recipes for disaster. You can get up on Kansas City, but they're able to come back. You can't go down if you're Tennessee because you don't have the ability to come back. And Kansas City kind of bared fruit on that. So tip my hat to the Chiefs organization, but I do want to reiterate what you said. If you're a Titan fan out there watching this, you got nothing to be ashamed of, because the future in Tennessee, you've got the coach that you need, you've got the O-line and the personnel that you need, and all you got to do is retool and keep that thing fluid, because Tennessee's going to be around for a while. And I predict, early prediction, hot take moment, I predict that Tennessee may just win the AFC South next year. If they make, they're right there. And I think that's going to be the most fun division to watch next year, because the Colts aren't that far away, Houston's not that far ahead, and Tennessee's coming up the rear looking like they're the next hot thing to come out of the AFC. So we'll have to wait and see as this whole thing breaks down. But for me, those are the two key factors. And when you watch the game, that's what bared fruit. They were able to get some pressure on Mahomes, but he was able to get the big play on the scramble throw. And Tennessee has struggled with that this year. They've struggled with that, with the exception of 2 games when they played Kansas City the first time and the AFC divisional playoff game. The only 2 times they didn't struggle with a scrambling quarterback. And not a scrambling quarterback like Lamar, who can scramble to run, but a scrambling quarterback that can maneuver in the pocket and get that ball out there. Now, granted, they didn't see a lot of it. But if you've looked at Vrabel over the course of his time in Tennessee, those are the quarterbacks he struggled with. So there was reasons why we picked Kansas City to win the game, and it wasn't just because they have so much offensive talent and Tennessee's so far behind. I believe a running team should and could win a championship game every year, but you've got to be balanced, and I just didn't feel like Tennessee was balanced enough on both sides of the ball to get there. But Kansas City obviously was. So, anything you want to add to that, E, before we move on?
No, that's you hit it pretty well.
All right, let's go to the NFC divisional play, the NFC Championship game. I'll go first. I'll have you go second, because I know that there's a comment that you want to make on your little Twitter battle with a douchebag that works for ESPN, which, by the way, has said nothing.
Actually, hold on a second. I do actually want to make a comment about the AFC Championship game. There was a tweet that went out. Okay, and it was from Mike Greenberg, and he said, when do we start to worry about the Chiefs getting down quickly in games? And I saw that tweet, and I responded, literally word for word, I responded, when the clock is at 0-0:00, and it's at the end of the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs have less points than their opponents.
I saw that. You sent me that. Did you get a response on that?
That's when you worry about the Chiefs.
Did you get a response on that?
No, but I got quite a few likes for it. I mean, there was a couple responses. One guy just responded with the word "this," but I mean, it didn't go crazy berserk wild.
Oh, that's funny. Too bad. All right, the NFC Championship game. So I knew San Francisco was going to blow the doors off of Green Bay. And I didn't think it was going to be a weather distraction for them. It was cloudy. It was cold, around 52 degrees, which isn't cold for Green Bay. I get it, but it's still cold. Coming off that water. Let me tell you something. I've been in San Francisco, Santa Clara. You call it what you want. I know they're in Santa Clara now. That water, that wind coming off the water, man, it's colder than a witch's tit, as the expression says. It ain't easy. And it isn't your typical 57 degrees. So I don't think weather was a distraction for Green Bay. Oh, it's beautiful California. This is a vacation. No, Green Bay just isn't good. Green Bay hasn't been good all year long. I honestly will say this once again. Green Bay, since I've been alive, has had the weakest 15-1 team I've ever seen in NFL history, the weakest one-loss team that's ever existed, and the weakest, what did they have, 2 or 3 losses this year, Eric?
Yeah, they had 3 losses. They lost at home to Philly when Philly was kind of up and down, but that game they were down. Then they got worked over twice on the West Coast. Yeah. Once by the Chargers and once by the Niners.
Yeah, so for me, they were the weakest 3-loss team I've ever seen. So when Green Bay,
I've never seen a more overrated 13-3 team in my life.
No, me neither. Me neither. And then when they played Seattle, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, that was the most overrated 4-loss team I've ever seen. Okay? So I don't care if you want to ridicule me for that, but I made that very clear going into championship weekend that Green Bay had no chance to win this game. And when the 49ers move the ball on the ground the way they do, and you can't stop it, and that to me is the most impressive thing about San Francisco. This is now 2 weeks in a row in the playoffs, and granted, their path has been pretty easy, okay? Minnesota, not a strong team. Green Bay, not a strong team, which worries me for the Super Bowl. Because Kansas City's probably the best team they've seen all year long. And I would argue you struggled with Seattle twice, who has a similar quarterback. But we'll see. We'll get to our prediction show later. The 3 key factors here was Green Bay can't run the ball. Green Bay can't stop the run. You can't do those 2 things with that pass rush in San Francisco. How in the hell can you think that game was going to be close? I don't understand why so many people were so reluctant to go with the point spread, why so many people were talking up Green Bay. Did you watch football in 2019? Because this was a bad football team. They benefited from a pathetic division, from a cake schedule, and from horrible officiating all year long to get to 13-3. And despite all of that, they barely made it to 13-3. So I'm just like, okay, we'll have to wait and see. The Niners scare a lot of people because you know what they're going to do the minute you get off that bus, but you still can't stop it. And that's what makes them fascinating moving forward into the Super Bowl. There's no mystery what the Niners are going to do. They're going to punch you in the mouth, they're going to bloody your mouth, and they're going to keep punching you in the mouth until you stop twitching. And then they'll check your pulse and they'll punch you in the face again. That's what the Niners do. And they're always coming after you on defense. They attack angles, not players, and that makes them difficult. Just ask the Rams. All right? But they're beatable. But they're a tough W. With Green Bay, they had nothing. Their offensive line wasn't good enough to compete with the 49ers D-line. Their running game had no answer for their linebackers. They didn't have anybody in the receiving corps that could even remotely hold a candle to the 49ers secondary because you knew they were going to put Sherman on Adams, and you knew they had no one else to throw to. And Jimmy Graham was your biggest threat? My grandmother can cover Jimmy Graham, and she's been dead for 20-something years, 30-something years, 40. God, I'm 40 now. She's been dead before I was born. She died before my sister was born, and my sister's older than me. So you're talking 45 years she's been dead, and she can cover Jimmy Graham. So that wasn't a problem. And on the other side of the ball, yeah, they have some players now. They can cover the passing game. Jarvis, I love Jarvis with Alexander, right? Am I right? Parker's corner. Parker's corner.
Oh, Jair.
Okay, Jair. I love him. Sorry, Jarvis is a guy. I was just watching an old football game. There was a Jarvis Williams in that game. I was getting the two mixed up. Jair's a great corner. He's in my opinion, he's going to be a Pro Bowler quite a few times for the duration of his career. But other than, so I'm not worried about the secondary. That was a fun matchup. But their linebackers can't cover Kittle and can't stop their running game. And their D-line had no chance against the 49ers offensive line. McGlinchey, Staley.
Kittle was mainly used as a blocker and caught one pass.
Because they didn't need to throw to him.
Right.
At the end of the day, it wasn't, I know the score was 37-20, but it wasn't that close. It should have been 37-7. Because that's the kind of game that it was. If you watched it, that was, you felt like that was the final score. So Green Bay got the doors blown off as predictable. So I have to say, in the playoffs so far, I'm going to go through my record here. In the wild card game, I was 2-2. In the divisional playoff round, I was, just picking winners now, I was 3-1. So that's 5-3. So I'm 7-3 in the playoffs right now, going into the Super Bowl. Eric, what's your record going into the Super Bowl?
I think around the same.
Yeah, 7-3 or 8-2. You're right around there. So it's just this Super Bowl will be unique. It will be different, but the championship game wasn't going to be unique. It wasn't going to be exciting, and it wasn't going to be different. It was predictable as the sun rising and setting. You knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of, is it time yet? And when the clock struck 0, it was time for Green Bay to go home and Aaron Rodgers to film more Allstate commercials or State Farm commercials, and it was time for San Francisco to get their flight and head to the Super Bowl. It was as simple as that. And to MM forever, man, I'm jealous because you're both a Ram and a 49er fan, which is almost really, I mean, that's treasonous, just so you know. You're lucky I like you because I'd be recommending treason charges. You can't like both, but you do. And in back-to-back years, you get to the Super Bowl with both teams. It's pretty cool. I just don't understand how that's a thing. But you even like the Chargers. You're weird. You're a weird guy. But we love you. It's fine. But it's kind of cool to see somebody who has those teams at heart have the kind of success the last 2 seasons that he's seen. So, you know, I'm happy for him. And I'm sorry, but I wasn't going to root for Green Bay. I was rooting for Green Bay. I was holding my nose to root for Green Bay because I would have preferred an Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes Super Bowl and watch Aaron Rodgers get the doors blown off him in a Super Bowl and go, ha ha, you suck. Because I would have rooted for Green Bay, but I would like the Niner game. I won't be disappointed if Kansas City had won that game. But to Chief fans, man, you've endured quite a bit. I'm happy for you guys too, because this is a really cool experience. And you've been to 3 Super Bowls. There's not a lot of teams that can say that. You know, I'm lucky. My Rams have been to 4. That's an exclusive club. You're 1 Super Bowl away, and with Mahomes, there's no doubt you'll be in another one from being in that club. But you're already in a more prestigious club than even Eric's Bears are in. But let's be honest. The NFL did exist prior to the Super Bowl era. And none of our teams can hold a candle to Eric's Chicago Bears history. So there is that. Go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, well, except for Green Bay, they were more championships than we were. But
Yeah,
whatever. Hey, we got 30 Hall of Famers, so nobody can top that. At least we're first in something. All right. Well, let's dig into a little bit of the San Francisco Green Bay game. Listen, when you have one aspect of your offense basically killing it, and the other team can't stop it, there's no reason to stray from that. Raheem Mostert, stud in the game. Okay, I want to see him keep it up. He didn't do too much against Minnesota because that was a Tevin Coleman show. And what did the 49ers do in that game too? Oh yeah, they ran the ball. What did they do against Green Bay? Oh, they're like, here, stop the run. We're calling a run play, Green Bay defense. Hey, Preston Smith, hey, Darius Smith, and we're calling a run play. Yeah, and they still couldn't stop it. And it's just amazing to me what a full-on clicking offense looks like. I haven't seen one in forever anywhere I am, but I have. I saw one. It was a 48-10 win against Tampa Bay last year. The only good game we've ever played. Anyways, so what?
you got some Bear fans there that's pretty pissed off. What about the Super Bowl 20, you D-hole?
That was just a defensive beatdown.
Well, your offense was clicking in that game too, though.
Yeah, our Hall of Fame running back fumbled on his first carry, so. But whatever.
No touchdowns in the game.
Anyways, so San Francisco just basically ran at will. And when you already had 160 yards at halftime, and you have Eric Dickerson in your sights, I'm surprised they didn't let him. They didn't give it to him more and have him break that playoff record. But you know what? You get to keep your record intact, which I'm sure you're wiping the sweat off your brow anyways.
Well, here's the thing. Hold on, Eric. That's the thing I wanted to ask you, though. I thought Lamar Smith for the Dolphins broke that record in, what, 99 against the Colts?
No. No, Dickerson's got that record.
Well, I'm telling you, I distinctively remember the Dolphins running back breaking the record in overtime against the Colts in a wild card game. But, I mean, I may be wrong, but I vividly remember that. But I'll take it if they're still going to give Dickerson the record. Proceed.
Yeah, actually, I'm bringing that up right now. But San Francisco, yeah, Dickerson had 248. Lamar Smith had 209.
Oh, okay. He was approaching the record then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was close, but, I mean, nothing as close as, Raheem Mostert got in this year's game against Green Bay. By the way, Mostert just scored another touchdown. Anyways, I was slightly nervous about this game because I thought, having Rodgers as your quarterback, you're going to be able to find something that they could use to where they could exploit San Francisco. And as the game got into the second minute, after San Francisco didn't go for it on 4th and 1 because they were 1 yard away, they went 3 and out. And then Green Bay got a first down, got it to midfield, and they punted from the 50. And then finally everything started opening up for San Francisco. They scored on their next 5 drives. Their next 5. Like, seriously, Green Bay won this year mainly because of their rushing and their defense. Aaron Rodgers won one game by himself, and that was against the Raiders. Yeah. Okay? He had like 5 touchdown passes.
Which everyone beats the Raiders.
Yeah, everybody except the Bears. So, they couldn't do anything. When you go out to the West Coast and you treat it like a vacation, you're not going to win many football games. And that's what Green Bay did 3 times, separate times, in the 2019 season and in the playoffs.
The only thing I disagree
West Coast,
Eric, the only thing I disagree with on that is the Niners were so much more talented at so many positions, and Green Bay was so undermanned. I don't care if they Rocky Balboa'd in Russia trained for this game. They were getting the doors blown off them anyway.
Well, and they didn't, and it was apparent they didn't look like they tried to work on anything leading up to this game from what they've seen before. Listen, I'm going to put this to bed right now, okay? San Francisco is not regretting the decision to pass on Aaron Rodgers in the 2005 draft when he slipped to Green Bay in the 20s, okay? Yes, Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl. Yes, Aaron Rodgers has only been to 1 Super Bowl. San Francisco is going on their 2nd Super Bowl since that time. 2013, they lost to the Ravens with Kaepernick.
Yep.
And now they're going back with Jimmy Garoppolo and a whole bunch of weapons. Okay? So, in my mind, San Francisco right now is better off. And I love the fact that Aaron Rodgers decides to say after the game, hey, football is fun again, like taking a shot at McCarthy. Yeah, you lost a lot like you were under McCarthy still. So, I don't want to hear that football's fun again when you just get your doors blown off. There's already an article out there about Green Bay's fighting the game, how it was lacking, and the coach Matt LaFleur wasn't too happy. Well, listen, man, Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. Not a lot of head coaches have been happy lately with him.
Yeah.
So good job. You got your hands full. You had a great season. You're overrated at 13-3, but you know what? It had to come to an end, and I was so happy to see it come to an end. I seriously was like a little kid rooting hard for the 49ers, and I don't ever do that.
No.
Ever. Because I don't like that team. I just don't like the organization. The 80s hurts too much sometimes. Monster was a beast. Like I said, Kittle caught 1 pass And that was when there was a little momentum on the Green Bay side in the second half. And I believe it was about 37-20. And San Francisco was like, okay, they just stopped us twice on runs. All right, Hill, your turn. And sure enough, a little 6-yard pass to Kittle. He goes for about 6 more. And I'm just like, man, when you need something, the great ones find a way to get it done. Yeah, am I calling Jimmy and George and Mostert great? You know what? In that game, they were great. Okay? I counted total. When you're getting the doors blown off you many times over in one game, I counted 7 to 8 passes that actually traveled beyond 10 yards that Aaron Rodgers threw. Man, if you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback and Devontae Adams as your wide receiver and Aaron Jones has been catching balls out of the backfield this year, you best be throwing the ball downfield. When I saw the first drive from the Packers, and it was 4-yard out here, 2-yard out here. Oh, it's 3rd and 2, and I'm going to throw 1 yard to Devontae Adams, and he'll get the next 6. Man, I could have told you Green Bay was going to lose right then and there.
Yeah.
You need to be throwing the ball. You need to be opening up that field against that San Francisco defense early and often, and Green Bay did not do it.
I think they were worried about Aaron Rodgers getting broke.
I don't know what they were worried about, but I mean, you know, Rodgers has his look on his face like he's a deer in headlights. He throws a pick, he gets mad because, you know, it's never Aaron Rodgers' fault. He throws an interception, and that was Geronimo Allison's fault. If I were the offensive line, I'd be like, you hold on to that ball a second longer, we're going to make sure we plant your butt right into the sideline. Because we can't have you keep forcing turnovers. Throw the ball away like you did all of last year that you're really so good at. Because he held on to a ball. He didn't see the blitz coming, and that could have been disaster if Green Bay didn't recover that ball, because that would have been inside the 20.
Yeah.
So they got the ball, they punted. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers' last pass of the game was intercepted by Richard Sherman. And I mean, Sherman, you know, sometimes he's all over the place. He's not a shadow corner, which is fine. Which I'm curious who he's going to be on in the Super Bowl. I know who I would put him on, and I'll get to that when we get to our preview next week for it. But like he was lined up. You know, he typically handles the left side of the defensive field. And I was seeing Green Bay line up Devontae Adams on the clear other side. And I know they were doing that on purpose, but everybody else, they stepped up. And then I'll tell you, one of the most underrated people on that 49ers defense, I got to watch a little bit of him because he played in my area, but Jimmy Ward is quietly a stud back there on defense. He doesn't get talked about often. He doesn't get talked about with the big names that are out there, but he is fun to watch. He sticks his nose in the football, and he makes plays when they need him.
Okay, Eric, I want you to get into it. I'm going to give you an opportunity here to go off. So,
all right,
all yours.
So I'm perusing through Twitter during the San Francisco Green Bay game. I just want to see, everybody goes off about every play. It's like, okay, like, you have to tweet about every play. That's what the play-by-play guy is for, you know. So I would listen to Joe Buck sometimes. But Trey Wingo decides to open up his mouth. And he puts on there, San Francisco is only throwing it 8 times. Okay. And what's your point, Trey? They're winning 37 to Green Bay has barely any. You don't veer from what is working just so you can pass the ball when you're up by 3 scores. You run the ball. Thank you, Kyle Shanahan. I don't have to go all Sean Payton on you. Okay? They pass the ball when needed. Yeah, for an hour and a half in the game, from the close to the end of the second quarter, about 4 minutes to go, for an hour and a half of normal regular clock time, Garoppolo didn't throw a pass. Garoppolo threw 6 passes between when he got kicked off against Minnesota and about halftime in the Green Bay game. What does that tell you? Okay, here's what it tells me. You know, when the game against Minnesota was going, they're like, oh, they didn't want Jimmy to give the ball away, or whatever. They went back to the run game. It wasn't, we're going to harness Jimmy Garoppolo in, but we're going to go back to what works. It was a bad play, might have been a bad pass, whatever, he got picked. You know what? Make Minnesota stop us. Mostert was going so well in that game that Garoppolo didn't have time to pass. Yeah, you could have gotten one of these coaches this year was like, oh, I don't care if Mostert's got 160 yards at halftime. We're going to come out throwing, and we're going to throw 75 times. No, that's not how you do it. Your quarterback does not have to throw 9,000 times in the game because we're in the 2019 NFL season and everybody's putting up all these passing stats. You know what's still winning the games, fellas, boys and girls? Running the football and playing defense. Okay? It's more apparent in these playoffs than it's ever been in the regular season, and especially this year. So, Trey Wingo was going off about, Garoppolo, what's San Francisco doing? Why are they only passing 8 times? You know, what's the least amount of passes attempted in a game? And they kept bringing up the stat because, you know, if the game was closer, it might have meant something. If San Francisco was getting the doors blown off then, that might have been something. But again, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be passing to get back into the game. But it was such an asinine comment that I had to respond and say, yeah, mix in a jet sweep. You know, do a misdirection run. Maybe throw a play action, but you're not going to change up what's working. Okay? And just like Coach Herman Boone said, and remember the Titans, it's like Novocaine. It'll take over. All right? Just give it time. 49ers came out running the football. You know what? If Jimmy Garoppolo never threw one pass in their game, and the 49ers still won 37-20, I'd be fine with it. Because you know what? You know what that means? That means he's ready to be unleashed in case they need him against Kansas City. And we've already seen Garoppolo unleashed, okay? Just go back and watch the Saints game. Saints blew that game. They could have easily won it. But the 49ers, they're the ones who prevailed. Jimmy G, getting the ball to his guys that he needed. He didn't need to throw the ball 30 times in this game. He didn't need to have an air war with Aaron Rodgers. What he did was he called the plays in the huddle that was being radioed in and said, okay, guess what, guys? Another run play. So, Monster, get your wheels on.
So, I want to say something.
Trey Wingo, you did not belong on radio with asinine comments like that. I even went further, and I tagged ESPN and ESPN Radio and said, this guy's on your national radio show? Go look at Wingo? Like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, who makes these kind of comments? You're doing it for 2 reasons. One, you want people to respond, which, first, they're going to bury you when they respond. And second, we know you love Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and you probably lost some cash on it, so you wanted Jimmy to throw some interceptions and get Green Bay back in the game. Hey, it's fine. We all lose a hand or two.
Well, that's what I was getting at. So I've talked a lot about the death of the NFL, and I've been laughed at by it. But attendance is down. The ratings for these championship games were down from a year ago. I expect the Super Bowl ratings will be down. And you can miss me with that, oh, well, that's because it's not the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Because I'll tell you something. If New England made it to another Super Bowl, I'm not entirely sure that those ratings wouldn't have plummeted below whatever they were going to be this year. Okay? You don't need a villain in a Super Bowl. Okay? You need a story. So I want to make that clear because that's something else I heard that was asinine all week long. Oh, you need a story, you need a villain in the Super Bowl, people to watch just to hate. I would not have watched the Super Bowl if it was New England again. Outside of even if it was the Redskins in the Super Bowl, I wouldn't have watched another Super Bowl with New England in it. I just wouldn't have. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm actually watching the Super Bowl this year, but I'm not the norm. So you need a good story, and this one's full of it. And we'll get into that. Now, what's killed football more than anything else is this nothing in NFL history existed pre-2001 mentality by the snowflake millennial douche canoes that are the announcers and experts of today. That's number one. There's a reason, Eric, people always tell us on our show, man, I love when you talk about the history of the game. You know so much. The fact that, A, that's true, but the fact that so many young people can't get pre-2001 NFL history is ridiculous. You're in the 100th year. Why are you only covering the last 20? There's so much football out there that has been missed entirely. But yet, go back and watch ESPN, the NFL Network when they run their classic games. Rarely in the off season will you find a game pre-2001. They happen, but it's rare. And then they make asinine, stupid statements like Steve Mariucci when he was talking about Super Bowl I and he was talking about how, the Kansas City Chiefs, what did he say? That the Kansas City Chiefs on their way to the Super Bowl, they had to go through Buffalo and, they had, I think he said an easy path or something like that. I'm like, Buffalo was a two-time defending AFL champion. They were going into their third straight AFL championship game. Only the Houston Oilers in 60 and 61 and 62 had done the same thing. And like the Oilers, the Kansas City Chiefs, who were then the Dallas Texans, beat them. And then they beat Buffalo. But again, these people don't know their elbow from their dinghole. The other thing that's killed football, is gambling. Because I'll give you living proof. I got a buddy that loves football. That's not true. He loves betting on football. He's told me straight up, if he couldn't gamble on football, he wouldn't watch it. Well, then you're not a football fan. You have a gambling problem. That's what that tells me. You don't like football, you like betting. Period. So I'll tell you why Wingo was upset. Because he bet money on the spread. Because he knew Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to get blown out again by the Niners. And when the Niners got off that big lead and Green Bay started coming back, well, the only way Green Bay's not going to cover the spread is if Jimmy G doesn't throw the ball. Because if Jimmy G throws the ball, being as cold as more than likely he was going to be in that situation, and Green Bay gets the ball faster, and they can start cutting into that lead, and he can get his money. That's the only reason Wingo was upset. He can lie about it on television. He can lie about it on radio. But I guarantee you that's why he was angry. And it's probably why so many fans hate the 49ers right now, because they lost their rear ends on that Vegas line. So, again, I'm done with the gambling. I'm done with the fantasy football. It's killing the sport. And it's taking people's ability to properly evaluate a game and enjoy football for what it is because they're so caught up in gambling. Fantasy football. What we determine a great quarterback now is solely based off of fantasy football numbers. Don't believe me? See Jared Goff. And the people's opinion of Jared Goff compared to, I don't know, who's somebody, Lamar Jackson, who can't win a playoff game. but Goff can. But Goff's never been an NFL MVP because he's never put up fantasy football numbers. And I seem to recall a time when a quarterback won the NFL MVP, and I'm talking about Brett Favre or Joe Montana, solely off of his QBR for the year. He set an NFL record 88.7 QBR rating, completion percentage rating. His QBR, I think, was 98.7, which at the time was an NFL record for an entire season. He won the NFL MVP. He wasn't the leading passer in yardage. He wasn't the leading passer in touchdowns that year. But he won the NFL MVP. And he had his greatest year, statistically speaking, based off of the QBR and the completion percentage. But see, nowadays, that don't matter. What do you do for me in fantasy football? That's all they care about. And it's pathetic. And it's literally slowly bleeding out the NFL. Because fans like me are looking at the XFL going, well, I don't like the fact that they're doing fantasy football, but at least it's the game-to-game fantasy football crap, whatever they call that garbage. I just hope the coverage isn't solely living in that realm. Because if it is, I'm just going to start putting in my old games and watch football when it was good. Go ahead.
So I want to read you the 3 tweets that sent this off before I responded. This wasn't what I originally responded to. I responded to a Trey Wingo response. So he tweeted out, first look at Super Bowl 54. It will pit one team who asks their QB to win it all versus one team who asks their QB to not lose it. Game on. With the response being, LOL, quote unquote, not to lose it. Please keep downing Jimmy G. It's better that way. And then Trey responds, he threw it 8 times, fewest in the history of a conference championship game. Sorry if the facts upset you. He went an hour and a half without attempting a pass, but you do you. The last response before me was, that's not, quote unquote, don't lose it, Trey. If Mostert is dominating and unstoppable, why move from that? Big fan, but that feels like at least a warm take. To where I respond, Trey can't answer logically. Because it's a passing league, he believes Jimmy G should be throwing 50 times. When the other team can't stop the run, you run more and keep running until they stop it. Mix in the jet sweep misdirection to play action pass, but keep running.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he threw it 8 times because they were running the ball so effectively. He could have thrown it 1 time. He could have thrown it 1 time, set a new record for fewest pass attempts in a conference championship game, and still came out going to the Super Bowl.
Well, and this is my coup. This is my coup de grace. This is my coup de grace. Okay, and I swear to God, if Trey's listening to this, let this sink in, douche canoe. All right, douche space shuttle, if you will. Guess what? Jimmy G's 8 passes has now given him as many Super Bowl appearances as Aaron Rodgers. Mic drop.
Not really, because Jimmy G's got 2 rings already.
With New England, yeah. Well, as a starter. Fair?
Yeah, well, this is also the same guy who's already putting Patrick Mahomes in the Hall of Fame. So you know who he's leading for in the Super Bowl.
He's also the same one that made that asinine comment that I talked about. So, I look, for me, we're going to be doing a lot in 2020 to grow this channel. And I'm going to end, my 2 cents is going to end with this. Share our videos. Get them out to people that are tired of the same old garbage. Because I guarantee you somebody's going to listen to this and they're going to be, that's never heard us before and be like, oh my God, yes, I love these guys. There's also going to be people that listen to us going, we're a bunch of douchebags. What do they know? We're filming out of a garage and they know more than Trey Wingo. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And I know more than most of those coaches right now on the sidelines on Sundays during the regular season. But that's besides the point. But the bottom line is share our videos. get them out there. Because I think the more people that watch us and realize not only do we make sense and we know what we're talking about, but we're relatively accurate, and we don't have a problem admitting to when we make a mistake, and we're consistent in who we cover and why we cover, or who we promote and why we promote. And I think this channel will grow exponentially from there. And by the end of 2020, I have a goal, and I have a 5-year plan that's going to grow this, not just this channel, but our brand. So please subscribe. Please get us out there. Hit the like button. Make your comments. Let's grow this together, because this is rooted hard in the Ramily. But I believe we can really draw some interest from people outside of the NFL and let them see what common sense broadcasting and commentating actually looks like, because it's been dead since 1999 and we're bringing it back. So please subscribe, please smash the like button, please get this out there, because I need you more than you need me, and I fully admit that, and I'm happy to say it, and I'm not too proud. In fact, like I said, I'm excited to say that, because you guys make this work every single week. It's the reason we do the show. So thank you, and please get us out there. E, your go.
Yeah, I also wanted to say this. I follow Rob Demovsky. He's the Packers beat writer on Twitter. I follow him because he's got a lot of good content, and he's talked about a lot on Chicago radio, especially when Bears Packers play against each other, or just the Chicago sports radio out here does cover a lot what Green Bay does, because we're in the same division.
Right.
But Rob Demovsky tweeted this out. The first thing Javon Williams said was, quote, 8 passes, the rest was runs. The first rule of football is stop the run, and we didn't do that. So I retweeted that with a quote and said, hey, think Trey could learn something about football from Javon's quote? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So, yeah, even a player on the field recognized, hey, we didn't do a good enough job stopping the run. No, he didn't do a good job stopping any type of run.
No, exactly. Well, anything else that you want to add before we sign off, E?
Yeah, Eli Manning is announcing his retirement tomorrow. I can't believe I'm asking this question, but is the next stop Canton for him?
It's got to be. Look, I love him. I loved him at Ole Miss. I felt like my whole life I've said he was the better Manning of any of them. I'd have taken him over Peyton. I'd have taken him over his dad. Archie, in my opinion, wasn't even a good quarterback. And yes, I've seen lots of Archie Manning football games on film. Okay? I don't know why people were so hard up for him. But I digress. But Eli was clutch when he needed to be. Yeah, he's a career 500 quarterback. He threw some interceptions, a lot of interceptions. And that's going to be his downturn. But the man is 2-0 against the greatest quarterback of all time. There is nobody else in football that can make that statement in the Super Bowl. He's not 2-0 lifetime, but he's 2-0 in the postseason against him. And there isn't another soul on this planet that can make that claim. So, although I will throw this caveat, Jake Plummer's 1-0 against Tom Brady. Just saying. Anyway, yeah, I think it's Canton, but I'm sure people are going to disagree.
Well, that's all I got.
What do you think?
I think, unfortunately, he's going to get in. I don't think he is Hall worthy, to be honest. I think he had too much of a mediocre career. Never won a playoff game outside the two Super Bowl runs, and I don't even know if that really matters or not. It's just some people. But I mean, when you're 117 and 117, and a lot of your defense carried you, but everybody wants to say, "Oh, yeah, you're 2-0 in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady," and blah blah blah. I thought it wasn't a QB-driven one-loss record stat. So when it's been so diluted, when you bash his 500 record, and I'm not saying you, Anthony, but when you bash his 500 record in in the regular season, but like, oh, he's 2-0 in the Super Bowl. Yeah, well, yeah, it's the Giants that were 2-0 with him in the Super Bowl.
That's
So.
true. Well, I don't know. Look, I'm not one of these people that's going to say, oh, you're an idiot if you don't think Eli Manning should be in the Super Bowl or be in the Hall of Fame. And statistically speaking, there's no competition. His brother was way better. But clutch performance-wise, who would I rather have in a Super Bowl? There's a lot of mitigating factors on his 500 record. If you're going to put it on him or on the football team for going to the Super Bowl and not give him credit for that 2-0 Super Bowl record, then I would argue you can't then put it on him that he had a 500 record as a starting quarterback. Because, again, it was the Giants that went 500 during that time, was it not? And he didn't have a lot of talent. He won a Super Bowl with Mario Manningham and David Tyree. Okay? Not exactly, Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne or Pierre Garçon out there. Just saying. He did a lot with very, very little on his side of the ball. So, there is that. But it's the debate will rage on. I would argue the Super Bowl's been, or the Hall of Fame's been diluted with a lot of the people that have been inducted in of late. I mean, Roger Craig is still not in the Hall of Fame, but Terrell Davis is. Really? Honest to God, really? I hate the 49ers. I will say it again. But Roger Craig is not in the Hall of Fame, and Terrell Davis is? What the? Right? What the flip? As my 6-year-old likes to say. What the flip is going on? It's diluted. So, put him in. You've already diluted the Hall, so put him in. If your standard is going to be performance and longevity, then take Terrell out and put Roger Craig in. Put Isaac Bruce in, because if it's based off of that, there you go. I digress. Horns up.
Bear down.
Go Rams!
Go Bears! And are we doing any more shows before
Yes.
The Super Bowl preview?
Yeah, we're going to do one on my free agency thing. It'll be a quick little 15, 20-minute video, probably this weekend.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that. I'll post this one probably Saturday, and Saturday night we'll film, and I'll post that one probably the same day in the evening. So keep an eye open. Late.